Hello, everybody. This is Solarstone, and I'm back with another producer talk. It's been a while since the last one with Farius. We're all extremely busy, not least of all my guest this week, which is, well, possibly one of the guys who's had the most to do with pushing the trance genre over his how many years in the industry? 35 DJing?
It's 40 years at the end of this year and next year, which is pretty damn scary.
Yeah, you were always a name who, when I first started producing music and started going out clubbing, yours was one of the names that always used to pop up on the flyers. You know, remember the days when you go to an event and you just go to the event because of the event and you didn't even know who was playing, and then you'd get there to be, oh, it's John 00 Fleming. Is he related to Ian Fleming? Who wrote
It's him again.
Might as well ask you, are you related to Ian Fleming, who wrote the James Bond books?
No, I'm not, and I wish I was, so I could retire in a lovely big mansion somewhere. But we just shared the same name, and back in the early days, this was the days when the raves first came around. The DJs didn't have their real names; they had a rave name. It's just a normal thing.
I've got a rave name.
You got a rave name. Sasha's got a rave name. There's many people got rave names, and I just wanted to use my real name. It was a big no-no, and I was under pressure. Those rave days, way before the internet, etc. They had to go to physical print, and all that took time. So I was there in the room with the promoter, the designer. Said, "What's your name?" And then I just blurted it out. I said, "Well, 00 Fleming," because of the James Bond thing. It was literally, that's how it happened, and it was on the flyer. And then
because you were under pressure.
And so it stuck with me from that moment. That was it, and everyone loved it.
Well, I already knew that story, but I only asked you because of people watching.
I know.
It's one of those things, you know, when you're doing an interview after an event, and they always ask you these specific questions: where did you get your name? How did you get into trance? What do you think the future of trance is over the next 10 years? All those kind of things. But I'm not going to ask you that because you know nobody can predict the future. But what I want to start with is where did you grow up, and what was it like where you grew up?
Well, I was born and bred in Sunderland, and then my family moved down to Sussex when I was 10 years old. So I've got vivid memory, tiny little memories, standout ones as a kid, but the rest of it is hazy because you're growing up at that age. And then my love for music and everything that happened for me was in Sussex, and being very fortunate. I was on the edge of it's like a sleepy seaside town called Worthing is the nearest town, but it's on the edge of Brighton. So Brighton was quite a booming place for music, and it always has been. So I was very fortunate growing up in that environment.
What did you do as a kid, though? I mean, before we get onto the music, were you like a BMXer? Were you a nerd? Were you into football or anything like that? Or were you kind of... Well, I was like, I wasn't interested in sports. It was just music and anything to do. Were you that kid?
Just the same. There is no great stories about sport or anything like that. It was music. I was a kid that was going to markets, because they were a thing back then. Markets, you go into markets and have big stores and a big shed somewhere. And I used to aim for the vinyl. There used to be big stalls there selling vinyl, and I was just obsessed with picking up vinyl. And you know, it was a 7 inches that used to be used in jukeboxes, and they used to sell them off afterwards. You know, the middle bit was missing, so you had to get
buy a bag of them little clips.
Yeah, to put in the middle.
When you were a teenager, though, this was before. I think we're the same age, or maybe you're a little bit older. But
I'm only 27.
Yeah, just had a long paper round. When I first went into a record shop, it was Rainbow Records in Newtown, run by this funny guy who had like a false eye. It's actually still there, the record shop.
Is Rainbow it really? Records is it?
And I was just going in for Frankie Goes to Hollywood stuff, and then I heard a house music record, and I was like, "What's this?" And was that what it was like for you? Did you listen to pirate radio or anything like that?
I was a little bit before. I got into it. It was called ska music at the times, like Madness, the Specials, Selector, all that kind of stuff. That was my introduction to music, and it was when I went to school, it's through the 80s. So, you know, growing up through the early 80s and the 80s, electronic music just started to get formed. And I was into Madness and Specials, and I was buying those kind of tracks because they were catchy. It was what was popular, but I just enjoyed music. So, and then I heard synthesized music, and it was Tangerine Dream.
Synthesized music. How did you hear Tangerine Dream, like randomly? How did you hear that? It was one of your dad's mates or something?
No, and I used to go back then. It was quite common that records were sold in newsagents. I don't know if it was the same for you.
Yeah.
So there was a local newsagent. I used to cycle up there on my bike, and I used to have a part-time job doing a newspaper round and then working in a supermarket in the evening. Every penny that I earned, I would spend it on records, and I'd go to the newsagent, and I'd just spend hours there talking to the guy. As you know, they're playing music constantly. Someone will come in and want to listen to an album. They're all stacked up next to the magazines. Then I kept hearing this different sound of what I envisioned was like futuristic. And
he was playing Tangerine Dream in the newsagents.
He's a really cool guy. This guy was really, really cool. He's playing the pop stuff, but he had a love for this kind of music as well. So every time I heard something like that, I'd run up. What's this? Keep playing it as I'm enjoying it. So I was just standing there enjoying it as he played this whole album. And then I'd save up to buy that album, you know. Because
was it like a fiver? It was a fiver then for a vinyl album, wasn't it?
It was expensive.
It was expensive. £5 was like, I used to get £1 a week pocket money, and that had to go on everything, including my fags, you know.
Exactly. That's what it was like. And I'd save, and then it'd not only have Tangerine Dream, but another album. And I'd say, can you hold that for me? And I'd save and just buy that, and then just play it endlessly, because that's all I could afford to buy. So I just play it and play it and play it and play it.
But that's what we did, wasn't it? I remember getting a Pet Shop Boys album or something, and I would buy it, and it was a massive thing. You know, you was such a massive buzz, and you would play it endlessly, for a week. And you get home from school, and the first thing you do is put that album on, and you'd know it inside out, wouldn't you? But I'm still the same with albums. You know, if I fall in love with an album, you play it in the car constantly. And then maybe after a couple of years, you rediscover an album, don't you? Like ABBA or something.
Yeah, you do. You dig it out, and then you get obsessed playing that over and over again. I tend to do the same. It might be because we're from that era where today they tend to get an album and they just take certain tracks and put it in their own playlist, or listen to a playlist with chunks of other albums. But I like listening to a whole album in context, and I just listen to it from beginning to end, you know, when it's been programmed well, especially the older albums. So,
well, that's really important. Well, we might as well, as we're talking about albums, you've just brought out your new album. And I mean, this has been going on for like 6 years. I mean, the amount of conversations I've had with you over the years, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I'm just working on my album. It's nearly done. I've got 1 track left to go. I've got 2 tracks left to go. And then a year later, I'm just working on my album. I've got 1 track left to go. I mean, you're not a DJ who releases much music. So,
no.
So maybe, is it because of that you're kind of, you know, it has to be exactly what you're aiming for with an album? Because, you know, do you make tracks and then test them out in your sets?
Yeah.
You do that, but for 6 years?
Yeah. For me, I do. I just test them, tweak them. And then over the last 6 years, the scene's been really evolving quite quickly. So what I would have started 6 years ago, and where I was musically 6 years ago, even 3 years later, I personally, as a DJ, was heading in a different place, because the scene's evolving. And that's the nature of the scene, isn't it? You know, things happen, things get created, maybe in the underground scene, and then the mainstream world catches up, takes hold of it, and then does their usual thing. They commercialize it. So that makes me take 2 steps away from that.
So do you change? So say if you've got a track finished for your album 5 years ago, do you keep changing that track?
Yeah.
Or you do. So you don't put them on the shelf and then.
No. Some of
they're the same tracks.
Yeah, the same tracks, the same theme, but I've dramatically changed quite a few of them from when I made them 6 years ago. My gut instinct was telling me, yeah, I've written a really good idea. I can hear the idea is good, but I'm not quite satisfied of where it's at with the vibe of it. You know, I might change. I remember one of them, I changed I changed the BPM from 140 odd BPM and amps 127. It just completely changed the whole track.
Yeah.
So
But why
I
don't you
did,
do another mix? I mean, why don't you do another version? Why don't you keep the version? Why don't you put that version out as a single and then do another mix? I mean, it's very, you know, for me, I'm a producer who produces and I'm a DJ, whereas you are primarily a DJ, right?
DJ first, yeah, because I take so long to make a track. I can't make a track quickly. Some people seem to, you know, like I know Airwave really well, and he can make a track in a few hours, in a day, and it's
I
finished.
don't understand it. I really don't.
I
But
can't do
when we
that.
did Hemispheres, in case anyone's wondering, me and John did a track called Hemispheres quite a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure, like, I sent you an initial idea, and you sent something back very quickly.
Which is rare for me.
Is it because you already had something on the desk and you kind of you used you used it as a skeleton for the track?
Yeah, I don't know if you're the same, but so you have good days. I'm not saying bad days, as in bad isn't terrible, but bad as in taking a long time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I find when I work by myself, I've got no pressure. I will take ages. I'll be fiddling with a sound, and I might spend a week on it because I've got no deadline. I've got no pressure. But when I'm working with you, I feel a different kind of pressure. My mindset changes. I've got to get this job done, otherwise I'm going to keep you waiting. And my whole mindset changes, so I do it quicker.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely agree. Absolutely
Do you
agree.
feel
I
that?
mean, oh, absolutely. I mean, I procrastinate, endlessly procrastinate. But if I get asked to do remix or somebody sends me an idea for a collab, I can do it really fast. I think it's because the pressure is not all on me. You know,
No.
you
And
like
the decision. Oh,
because
sorry, I was going to say.
somebody else has sent you something and you hear it and you think it's good because you're sharing the opinion that it's good. You've
Yeah.
already got, you know, you've got a hook. But if
Yeah.
it's just you, you're like, well, I don't know if it's good or not. You know, you need some kind of verification, I think.
Yeah, and then working with someone that knowing you, which is for how this collaboration came around, you're really honest. You're we're friends for many years, and you'll just turn around and say, "Oh, this is terrible. This is bad. No, don't use that." And it's easier. It helps me. It's like, okay, I'll put this in, see what you think of it, and you'll just delete it or mute it. So it helps me with that decision process
It's
because
the same here. Yeah.
I'm just listening and listening and listening to that bit. Do I like it? Do I not like it? I'm trying to EQ it in. I'm putting a reverb on it. I'm just messing around with one thing that I can't decide whether it lives or not. Whereas you would say straight away, "I will bin that."
I like you where you say whether it lives or not. It's true. But then, you know, in terms of finishing a track, I read somebody once said, art is never complete, only abandoned.
It's true. It's really true because that really weird. Just before we hopped on this call, I was just going through my hard drive. You know, now the album's out the way, I've got a load of stuff, lots, about 50 different ideas and half tracks, and I'm just going through them now to see if something will be revived and live.
This is what's great about collaborations. I mean, I know this isn't something you do a lot, but it's something I do. I mean, I've, you know, everything is on the computer, and if somebody says, "Do you fancy making a track?" I'll just go through all the ideas I had. You know,
Yeah,
ideas. You know, when you just jotted something down and think, "Well, that's you know, that's clearly good," and I'll send them
yeah,
half a dozen ideas and say, "Do you like any of these? You know, choose one." But sometimes I think sometimes you might feel under pressure to choose one. I'll give you an example. Marcus Shossov just done a remix for me, right?
yeah.
And I sent him a few ideas, and he picked the one track, and he said, "Yeah, yeah, I like the vibe of this. I think I could work with that." But then I sent him Dream Sequence from my last album, Innermost, because I thought he could probably do something. This would probably suit him. And as soon as I sent that, he was like, "Oh yeah, 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 right. I definitely could do something with this," because he wasn't being forced to pick from a handful of
Yeah.
complicated Solarstone tracks. This was dead simple, you know. So maybe
And
you should think about that, you know. I
we
mean, you must
should,
get
but
asked to collaborate all the time.
you know that feeling when, do you know, you've had an idea and it's kicking around, but it hasn't made the end choice. So in my head, sometimes I think, oh, it's not good enough. This bad. So then when I get to that point of the ideas, I think, well, if I think it's bad, but it's, you know, I don't want to send something duff to someone else. And I'll think, well, why is he sending me this? This is this, but it could be gold to that person. You
Yeah.
don't know, do you?
Melodically, it might be great, but you could never settle on the sound. Whereas you send them the
No.
melody and then they come back with the sound. When I do a collab, I like to provide the melodic content, and then I like them to put their stamp on it in terms of the production.
Yeah,
But you must get asked to do collabs a lot. I mean, surely you do, right?
I do, and I say no because like what you pointed out at the beginning, it's not that I don't want to do them. I want to do them, but I take so long to make a track, and I knew that I hadn't released for quite a while. I'm not one of those producers that feels like I need to be a factory and keep churning stuff out.
Yeah.
Which is like a marketing tool. I'm fortunate. I've never done that. I'm not known for that.
Yeah.
And I like to take my time to build up to, like now the album. Everyone's gets frustrated that I'm not releasing stuff and have to wait a long time. But like now the album's come out, everyone's happy now. It makes a stronger, bigger impact when
I'm sure the artwork was completed years ago, wasn't it?
I've actually been touring it. We've had 3 false tours. Everyone's saying,
I know, I
think
saw
it's ready. So
do you always play a John? Do you always play a Juve track in your sets? Though?
Yeah, I don't, but sometimes I don't. If it's an album tour, I'll put as many as I can in there.
So if you're playing in a club, you might not play any of your own productions.
If it's away from an album tour, I make sure that's at least a few of the album tracks. If it's a dedicated album tour,
No, I just mean like a
generally
just an ordinary bread and butter show. I mean, if I didn't play a Solarstone track in my sets, she'd kill me. That's what people want to hear. But with
no,
you,
I don't
want to hear.
I don't. No, I'm the DJ first, as you said, and I'll just reach for the right tool for the right time, no matter what that tool is. I literally go blind to what the name is on the track, if it's associated with recordings, me or anything. My DJ instinct just tells me, or if I'm thinking ahead of my journey where to go in my set, I'm picking the musical tools to get me from point A to get to there because I know I want to go there. So I'm just picking the right tools for the job.
What's your how important is harmonic mixing in key to you? Making sure things are in tune. Because not interested. If you want to play the record, you're going to play the record regardless.
I go into DJ mode to DJ skill. I think if you stick to harmonic mixing, it's like you're DJing with one arm behind your back and you got an eye patch on, and because you're just hindered then because the right track is, when to drop the next track. That's the right track, and the crowd's going to go wild, whether it's either go up, down, wherever you want to take the journey. Then if you look into if it's the harmonic mixing, it's the wrong key, then you're not picking the right track. You're then picking the wrong track to get to the right track. It could be like 3 or 4 until you get the right key. So I don't listen to the keys at all. So it's down to you to turn into DJ mode and make that track fit. Yeah. And you can't clash. Of course, you can't clash 2 melodies together. It's going to sound awful. So then you get into editing the track. The low end is more forgiving in the club. If the low end's out of key, you can't really hear that at all.
Yeah.
So I start carving into an EQ, and plus the reverb in the room. If the low end's bouncing from one end of the room to the other, and the room's not treated, you're just getting a wash of this kind of phasing in this sound anyway. So
what I mean? A lot of this stuff you're saying would make absolutely no sense at all to a lot of DJs out there, because there's a lot of artists out there who make club tracks who don't even consider the DJ. A lot of these tracks, they've got so much musical content at the start and at the end, and it makes it extremely difficult not to clash records, which I think is the reason why a lot of DJs do swear by harmonic mixing, because if it's a very, very musical kind of, say it's uplifting trance, for example, uplifting melodic trance, if you don't take the key into account, you're going to get awful things happening all the time. But I think the kind of music you release on your label, it's much more texture based, right?
Well, even you do get tracks that, like, some are just a wash of these of the musical moments in there, like you said, but you'll always find a section in that track that is empty. They will predominantly make it DJ friendly to have an intro and an outro. So are terrible doing outros, but you'll always find something on the intro. So what I'll do is I like to use 4 to 6 CDJs. So as I'm coming to the end, just say it's a wash of harmonic melodies and there's a lot going on, I will re-edit the track on the fly. So I'll take the beginning of the track, put it on another CDJ, loop it, and then start mixing it
Yeah.
to that point, to then create a bridge to help me mix to where I would need to get rid of the harmonic elements of it. So I'm actually re-editing it to make it friendly for me, easier for me to mix. Then I'll start mixing the next track in, but still listening to so many other elements, and I might be hanging on to percussion or bringing percussion from the other one. So I've got 4 on the go, bringing all these elements to make it fit together. And you can do it. You can get rid of that big harmonic noise, but go back to the harmonic mixing argument. You got 1,000 people on the dance floor down there dancing away, going crazy, and someone's just done this lovely harmonic mix, done a mix. You stop the music. Hey, did everyone hear that? Did you hear it? Not one single person will have a clue. They're focusing on the right track at the right time. That's the experience you're giving them. They're not walking away coming on the comments after everything was in key, the harmonic, it was for they're talking about the experience that they've had on the dance floor.
It can be really boring as well. It can be really boring. I remember I got this, I'm not going to mention a name, but back in the Global Underground album days, I got this one Global Underground album, and all the tracks, all 14 tracks, were all in exactly the same key. And I found it so boring. It was like, it was harmonically correct, but I got so bored. I just wanted to, it was just boring.
But what I do dig into, I do little tricks, and that scenario there, if I feel that I'm playing and it starts to get a bit boring, because sometimes on my long sets I can go really deep for a while, and I can you get in this deep groove, and a lot of the techno producers, the deep end of psychedelic, they kind of make everything in the same key. So I create moments that change that. I'll add some kind of reverb to give some tension, and then the next track coming in is in the same key, but I can hear it's in the same key, but I'll nudge it up two key just on the loop. So
we've actually, this conversation's gone really nerdy already. So I'm going to slightly change the subject. Was anybody else in your family musical?
No.
Do you play any musical instruments?
No.
Apart from the pink oboe.
Just a pink oboe. It's in the background. I keep it in the cupboard.
So nothing in your nobody in your house.
I know nothing. My mum was in the medical world. My dad was an engineer in the marine world, and no one else in the extended family. No,
your dad was in the
marine
army.
Engineer.
Was there any pressure on you to? Because you make a good soldier.
No, marine, not as in military, as in ships. He designed engines for and gearboxes for ships. So he was a designer for that, and then he'd go out. Road testing is the wrong word, but going out, testing all the engine, everything.
Water testing, you mean?
Water testing, yeah. I don't know what the right term is. My dad would correct me at this moment. So no, nothing with music related. I didn't grow up with anything musically around me.
Did you go to school every day, or were you one of those? Did you bunk off? Were you interested in anything that they tried to teach you in school?
This was gold. I used to look forward to go where I lived. I ended up going to school nearer to Brighton. So we're going back on topic now. When I used to listen to all that music in the newsagent, I befriended the guy because he was a fellow music geek, and of course you just gravitate towards fellow geeks. And he said, "Oh, there's a bigger store in Brighton, and the Brighton underground scene. Remember the electronic scene that we know today did not exist.
House music there was nothing, was there?
There was nothing. There was no. You just had commercial music. But living next to Brighton, the underground scene, which was bubbling and thriving for more electronic 4/4 beat that we know today, is in the gay scene. And living next to Brighton, it was brilliant for that. So the local record store, the big hub for this new wave of electronic music, was not far from my school. The reason I enjoy going to school, to get away on my lunch break, get to that record shop and listen to music in my while everyone else was playing football, rugby, all the usual stuff. I made a beeline for that record shop, and
so clearly your mum gave you a packed lunch, right? You didn't have school dinners.
No. I just got a packed lunch, and I went there, and then I befriended the the guy in the store again, he could tell, you know, it's a unique thing that this new wave of electronic music, someone gets it and understands it like me.
Yeah.
And he was really intrigued that I was so young and into it, so he could tell. And then he just helped me. He just kept helping me bring in new tracks, releases, telling me what was coming and what he played in the club. And he was a resident. He was one of the key leaders of pushing this. It was disco turned into high energy, and it's like people. High energy music was, I don't know, Sylvester, Divine.
Yeah, I love all
acts
that.
like that.
Did you play in? Have you played in many gay events earlier in your career? I
Yes.
bet you did.
No, yeah, this is what happened. The guy, he was the resident at a club called Coasters, and it was the main hub, probably in all the UK, for pushing this sound. So I was very fortunate. The same guy said, "Come to the club, I'll get you in there."
This
So
is a gay club.
Gay club called Coasters. It's not there anymore now.
Is Coasters some kind of underground gay slang for some kind
no,
of...
no, it's not a gay slang. I know you're getting excited, Rich. He's quickly Googling. It's just, I want to go and visit that. No, it's gone. But he knew the important thing. He looked after me and he protected me. He said, "Look, this is the gay night," and I didn't understand.
He protected you. What, you mean he wore a condom?
No, I know this is everyone watching this now. This is quite a challenging conversation to go with Rich involved because his sense of humor is but he knew I was straight, and I was young at the time, and I shouldn't be in the club. So I used to secretly go in the club. He got me into the club.
Yeah.
But he wanted to show me the form of DJing. This is the guy that got me into being a DJ. So that the protection thing is it was a proper underground environment, dark. First time I saw a laser, and oh my god, this is brilliant! Big sound system. It was the birth of what we know today, with a DJ booth on the stage, a big stack of speakers, a dark room, and just music with no one speaking on the microphone.
Yeah.
So he got me in the DJ booth. That's a protection thing. He said, "Look, you're not supposed to be here. It's a gay club, just to make sure you're going to be safe." So that was the protection thing. But all I did every time I was in there was obsessively watch him, and that's how I learned the art of DJing, just literally by watching him, what he was doing. And then he had so many records in the back of the booth. I ended up knowing the records. You know when you used to stick them on the end. And I used to go through them, and I used to help him find stuff. He'll say, "Oh, looking for such and such." I go and find it. Then I'm
looking for such and such.
Yes, and then I'd go and find it. Or I was pulling tracks out. So remember this? We played it in the shop earlier in the week. This has just come in. So I was reminding him of new tracks and when they would fit and when it would work. So that was the birth of me understanding the difference between really, really good music in the record shop and then how it works on the dance floor.
What kind of mixer were you using back then? Was it a little 2-channel like thing, or was it? Do you remember? I mean, it must have been quite a rudimentary mixer.
You know, it's those things that I can't remember, and I wish I could. I really wish I could, but I remember it was more than 2 channels. It had about 4 or even 6 channels, and then he had 2 turntables, the normal SL1200, and then he had 2 different Technics ones, which were digital, and then there was another thing for tapes that was set up as well. Occasionally he gets sent a tape, and you know,
keep in touch with him.
Say again?
Did you keep in touch with him?
I did for a little while, and then he's not around anymore now, unfortunately. He passed away, but I kind of lost track of where he went. That club closed down, and I knew he moved to Portsmouth or something like that. But it was the days before social media, you know, so it's difficult to track people down. So but I
bet he kept an eye on you, though.
Yeah, he did, and I used to get a message every now and then of how proud he was when he saw my career going. But if we go back to that when that environment that I saw, and then when I stepped away, grew up, become 18, and then looked at the club environment everywhere on the South Coast, that just didn't exist anywhere. The mainstream club, there was nothing. All the clubs just played top 40 music with the DJ get on the microphone and playing slow dances at the end.
Yeah.
So
we can do that in our sets. We should play like a ballad at the end of the set, like, okay, this is one for all the lovers out there.
The erection section.
The erection section.
That's what the
Do you,
local.
do you suffer any hearing problems?
You are?
Do you...
Nearly.
Yeah, nearly.
Nearly.
DJ, have you got any like tinnitus or top end problems or anything?
You know, early on, I got the best advice is to wear earplugs. And I did that from very early on. That I you know, like the foam ones, I used to stick them in, or tissue in my ear in the early days, because it wasn't really a thing then. It wasn't really a known problem.
Now, do you wear them now?
Yeah, and then when the custom molded plugs came along, which was probably the late 90s, I started using them. Still use them
I had
today.
some of those. I used to use those, and then I was at the Estate of Trance studio doing something with Armin, and I had them in my pocket, and I put them out of my pocket with the change. You know, one of them fell on the floor, and it went down between the side of the floor and the wall. And I was really gutted about that, and I didn't want to get down on my hands and knees looking for this little piece.
He really loves Armin.
Yeah, and every time I went back after that, I was thinking, my earplug is probably still down there.
Still down there.
Armin probably sucked it up in the Hoover when he was cleaning.
It's probably still tuned on. I've got this piece of gum I've been using for years.
Yeah, I must get some more of those actually, but I don't find any problems with my ears.
You don't?
No, I don't, because, well, when I get my tracks mastered, they usually come back quite a bit brighter than I made them in the studio. But I don't like all that top end. You know, when producers put layers and layers and layers of like hi-hats, shakers, tambourines, and it's like, you know, I find it a bit much. So I'm not really bothered about it.
It's so important, because I've got a few close colleagues, and we've been around for the same amount of time, and I know that they're pretty much deaf, or deaf in one ear. So it's that serious. And
it's the ear that you use to listen to the monitor, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. And then you can't, you know, some of the clubs we play at, you know, we're the same. We like to play the big events, but we like to support the smaller ones as well. And those smaller ones, they can't afford equipment. They haven't got those detailed monitors. And sometimes you've got this terrible monitor, and it's just screaming out a lot of mid-range sound. And that's just
sometimes you go on, and the guy before you is like, sometimes I've been on, the guy before me has got everything turned up, and you're like, Jesus Christ, is it because you want the impact of the monitors, or you just... Mind you, I suppose if you're wearing earplugs, you can have the monitors loud.
Yeah, you turn them up. When, you know, I do a lot of back-to-back sets with sets.
But we're back to the previous.
We're back to Brighton. That was back to front to back.
I can't see how back-to-back sets work. Hey, you're the expert, apparently.
But with Christopher, he doesn't use earplugs. Saying that, he's getting them now, and it's the comment that he says. He said, we do stints of playing, like, you know, 30 minutes each. And then I play for 30 minutes. He walks in the booth. He goes, it's so loud, John. I said, yeah, I've got plugs in now. I've got 20 decibel filters in, taking it down. So I have to be, I have to, you know, notice when he's there and just turn it down a bit. You just get used to it.
What is the DJ life, you know, being alone for so much of the time, traveling so much, being away from family and friends and stuff? What kind of, I mean, we get used to that, I think, but do you think that's been detrimental to your life in any way?
Yeah, I think we're gonna. It's rare that you can speak to someone that understands this, because regular friends, regular people, even my family, still don't. They kind of get it, but don't get it, and you get used to being lonely. In a way, I like my own company. All I've done all my career, like I said, touching on 40 years, from the very beginning of my career, I was traveling a lot anyway. I managed to build a career in Florida as well, and then up the north coast of the state. This was like in the very early 90s, and around Toronto. So I was hopping over there. I was hopping around Europe, and I did this at a very early age. And I've just got used to traveling by myself. I kind of enjoy my own company. When someone comes with me, it annoys me, because, you know, you have your own little routine, and not in a horrible way. I enjoy the company, but I think I enjoy the space to myself. But you know, close friends that I've grown up with, family, they just don't invite you to barbecues, weddings, things like that, because you can't
You
make
miss
it
all
anyway.
of those things.
You
You
miss
miss.
everything.
They stop inviting you after a while, and
They do.
it's quite sad because you know you really would like to be, but then these things happen without you being there, and you weren't actually working that weekend. That's kind of, it's a bit crushing, that, and I'm very aware of that, especially
Yeah.
now having another kid. You know, having another child, and I was away so much when Oscar was growing up, and now I've got the little one, Darcy, and I'm much more conscious of it. But when you are away on your own, you know, if you have one of those long weekends where you do 2 shows one weekend and then the following weekend, what do you do for the week in between? What do you actually do?
Oh,
Do you just sit in the hotel wanking all the time?
I don't do what you do.
Do you go out on your own and go sightseeing and that?
No,
No. Do you
it
sit in the
depends.
hotel doing music?
I'll do work. What it depends where I go. Like if I go to North America, I've got a super close friend that I grew up with, and I always end up in Toronto because it's home from home. I'll stay at his house, and then he goes to work. But I've been doing that for 30 odd years that it feels like it's my house as well. So, you know, you got your own kitchen.
Yeah.
I just do what I want. I go to the shops and I can cook meals. It feels like I'm home from home. But
Yeah.
if I am somewhere where I haven't got that, I will load up. I will save, you know, office work that we all hate doing. I will keep that for
Yeah.
that week in between. I'd rather utilize the time at home, do studio, do
Yeah.
stuff where I can use my
But
studio.
don't you think it's a shame though, isn't it? Because my friends say to me, like, so you know, you went to Tokyo or something, and I was there for a week. What did you do? What was it like? I'm like, I didn't really go out, and it's a shame, isn't it? But then if the promoter or somebody says, "Hey, I've got this guy who will show you around," you don't want that either, do you?
No,
I
no,
mean, Vietnam was nice, but it's still quite depressing. You know, you think, I'll go out for a drink, and you're sitting there having a cocktail, and everyone's there, and you're alone, and you just feel like, do I just look like I'm waiting to pick up a prostitute or something?
but I get it. Early on in my career, I did that as a novelty. You know, the first time I went to Tokyo, I'd go and explore it. You know, and
Yeah.
you do that when you're younger. You definitely have a lot more energy back then, and you do all these things without any sleep. But later on, you think, well, I've done Tokyo, I've done Melbourne, I've done all these places that I go to, and I guess it's like, you know, living in Brighton. If you got a few days off, I'm not going to walk around Brighton and just explore. I know
No, that's the thing, though. You say, like, I've done Melbourne, I've done Tokyo, but we haven't done them. We've literally gone there. We've gone to the
true.
hotel. We've done the gig. We've gone for dinner with the promoter, and then we've sat in the hotel doing work. We haven't done them. You know, I mean, I'm quite like, just think it's a shame because I've been around the whole world, but I've seen hardly any of it.
It's better when, you know, like we've had this times when we're around together. You've got a wingman. It's like then you do something. It's just nicer to go for, even if it's for a walk or get a bite to eat. It's nicer to have someone that you know and you've got a friend that you can.
Yeah, going for
But
something to eat or a drink or
yeah,
something.
that's much nicer. It's you enjoyable. You're having a good natter. But
You're a teetotal as well. You don't drink at all, do you?
no, but when you are alone, it's difficult because say the promoter, for example, I've been working for 3 months really hard. And
Yeah.
they've made a big sacrifice for their family to
Yeah.
the last 3 months working so hard to put this party on. They're tired and exhausted. So yes, you know them, but you can't lean on them to say, hey, come on, let's go out, because
Nah.
they're seeing their family the next day. They're like,
Even the day
and
after the
you
show,
know that.
they're like, oh, you know, do you want to go for lunch or something? And I always think like, oh, I'm not going to do that to you on a Sunday. You know, do you want me to
No.
drive you to the? I'm happy just to get an Uber or the train to the airport because I think they don't want to do this.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I give them the option as well. Like they, you know, if it's especially if your flight's early-ish and they're trying to organise to pick me up, say, look, you haven't seen your family. I don't mind getting an Uber. Put me in an Uber. I honestly don't mind. And you can see there's like the relief and they're
Yeah.
thankful. So, oh, they're good.
No, I agree. I agree completely.
So, yeah, that's challenging. But in a weird way, on the other hand, I enjoy my time by myself, even if I am in a hotel and I'm doing my work stuff. I've just become that person because of
You
all the
have to
years of being
switch off.
alone.
You have to just get into that mode, don't you? The last thing you can do is just lie there watching Netflix because it's just you miss home. I think even more.
Yeah, and you will get lonely if you think about it. You will get lonely and a little bit sad, and you know, it's I don't know. I managed. I think we all managed to put that aside.
What about, you know, when you go when you go on one of those tours with a bunch of other DJs, you know, and you're all going to be there for 10 days. You've got all of these DJs sitting alone in their rooms.
That's a funny one, like, especially if it's a big festival tour. I don't know, you just organically gravitate to the person that's like you. You know, you get the party ones, you get the ones that want to do all the action and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, I'll avoid them.
But they're
And
normally a generation below.
yeah, because they're all probably just new on the road. If they are, they don't want to get immersed in all that kind of stuff. But
You have to
even if
be
it's a whole,
genuinely friends with somebody like Tapio or Kedia, right? I'm happy
yeah,
to spend a week with him, more than
yeah.
happy. But the thought of having to hang out with, you know, other DJs and just talk about DJing production, I just find the thought of it. I just don't want to do it, you know. But then I always take a book with me and I never read it.
I don't know. Say it's a festival and I don't know, and I haven't met anyone on the lineup before. If I like psychedelic ones, are sometimes like that. You're kind of thrown in this environment where they said, because there's so many artists, the artists are pocketed in different hotels, big houses, Airbnb, stuff like that. So you're kind of thrown into an environment where there could be no one that I know. So you just quickly work out who you want to be with, who's the same.
Yeah.
You know, or if there's no one, you just make your excuses and shuffle yourself into your room. Like, no, I'm not into all that lot.
I remember years ago when Paula was working 24/7, you know, with Dimitri and all the rest of it. There was a whole bunch of us on the agency, and every year in Miami, Dimitri would hire a great big house somewhere really nice, like by the water, and invite all the artists, and we'd all go for a week. And I remember one year there was me, Paula, Seed, Brian Carney was there, Giuseppe was there, Snyder I think was there. There's a bunch of us. No, maybe Snyder wasn't there. But it was really nice because we'd all eat together, and we'd all, you know, we'd sit on the terrace together, and we'd go to the events together, and that was really nice. But it was very, very unusual. I think Dimitri kind of tried to make it almost like a family thing. I'm not sure it is like that though anymore. I mean, DJs, they seem to be. Do you not think that DJs and that they're much more competitive with each other now?
It's completely like that. But like what you said, what Dimitri was doing, it was a more of a family environment a decade or so ago. You know, we all supported each other, we helped each other. But yeah, you're right. Today, it's very, very competitive. It just seems to be this race of it's showing off, because I think the social media environment that's what I see it.
That's the problem. It's because if you're constantly looking at what other artists are doing on social media, you always feel like you're having to, I'm not doing enough, you know, they're doing more than me. Whereas back in the day, you would say, you know, oh, this artist is buzzing because everyone's playing their records. You know, they'd buzz for like 6 months, wouldn't they? The remixes or whatever. It's like remember Creamer and K did that remix of IO Rapture. And for 6 months, everyone was talking about Creamer and K. And then somebody else came up. Well, then it was Nailin and Kane, and everyone was talking about Nailin and Kane for 6 months. And so there was kind of like a pace to it, and you kind of did your own thing, and there was a pace to it, and you put out records. Whereas now it's just like bang, 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 bang. And I look at the Instagram, and I think, oh, maybe I should post about something because everybody else is. But then I find it so tiring.
Well, records organically became popular, like Nail and Kane, like you said. If we go back to one of the biggest tracks, Cafe Del Mar, it just organically was a great track, and a great track that everyone loved across multiple genres. It was just one that the crowds picked up on, the DJs picked up on, and those organic moments happened
over a long period of time.
Over a very long period of time, because the original version was released on another label. It took time to get where it was, but that was the whole process back then. It worked its way through the underground, through into the mainstream, and then eventually a major label pick it up.
It's so quick now.
But it's force fed now. It's forced marketing, and it's all that when marketing companies or people that are clever with marketing social media, that's what it's become about now. It's just it's like watching one big advertising campaign, some people's social media feeds. It's like that little 30-second clip. This is the big track, and then that big shot with a big crowd and everything, and everything's posed for that magic moment. They got professional photographers and videographers touring around with them to capture that clip, and everything's just force marketed. And it just seems quite fake now. You know, that track is force marketed because they wanted to be force marketed. It's not organically picked up. Not everybody's playing it. It just happens to be
some
there.
of these records hardly anyone's playing.
When you hear them, well, I'm not playing. I can't have heard anyone else.
I read this thing the other day, which really, I mean, I don't want to take the conversation down, but this really bothered me. I was reading an article, and it was all about. Did you know the Pet Shop Boys have just brought out this book called Volume, which is a complete visual history of their career over the last 40 years?
No.
They worked with Pharaoh pretty much the whole time. And I was reading this article with, it wasn't Pharaoh himself. It was, I can't remember his name now, but it was an important person who had a lot to do with all this kind of stuff. And he was saying that, you know how important pop art is and record sleeves have always been. And he was saying that some artists now, when they design the record sleeves, they do it with what is going to be most favorable to the algorithm. So they want what's on the cover. They will design that so that it's more likely to get shown on social media. So it's not about the concept of the album or the art. It's just about this other thing. I mean, I kind of like, it really shocks me that it actually got to that point, because the reason I brought that up is because your artwork on your label has always been, it's always, you know, you've got a real strong identity with the funny, you know, the funny person.
A little alien guy.
What's the name of the alien guy? Has he got a name?
The what, sorry?
The alien guy.
The alien. No. It's just I've always been obsessed with space, outer space, and then aliens and things like that. So we had this designer, everything's hand drawn. He hand drew everything. Yeah. And it's just an alien.
Look like an alien. I thought it was some kind of like sort of some kind of nomad in the desert or something.
He is. He's like a nomad alien. It's just,
but it's a really
hybrid.
Important part of your label, right? And I would never change my artwork to suit an algorithm, and I don't think you would. But do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. It's gone so far. But what do you do? Do you take a really strong stance and refuse to participate in that, or what?
But the positive spin, if we go back round to now the top end, do we call them celebrity DJs, the ones that are touring with a film crew and all these professional things, and they get these video clips edited to it's always the drop. The good thing coming from this, and the good thing for people watching this, because if you're new to the scene, you're probably going to get put off. Think, oh, I can't do that. I can't bring that. How am I supposed to get a career in this industry when they've got teams of people like this spending thousands upon production?
There's a drone following them into the.
There's a drone and everything. They got the whole walk up. It's like they're walking to a boxing match. But that's ending now, because people are getting tired of that now. People are getting jaded that they're understanding it's false. It's not real. They're wanting that wobbly phone footage. They're wanting in the locker room. They're wanting to see an organic artist, because they don't know who that person is. You don't know what they like. Honestly, that person with all that shininess, what do they really like? Music?
When you say that they are getting tired of it, who are you referring to?
The next generation, or many people, just a lot, or the next generation are getting jaded of that. It's like they just go past it.
The artists or the fans? You think both?
Fans. I mean, I'm talking from a fan point of view, and fans. If I see something like that, I'm just scrolling past it. I just know what it is.
It's awful,
I know what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's just horrible, and you think, you know, why are you trying to make yourself out to be Madonna or something? You know, this is an underground. This is meant to be underground music. This is meant to be an underground. Unless you don't want to be part of the underground. I mean, I know I prefer to be part of a niche. Then I don't want to be a pop star, you know.
But someone that is well known, that is breaking those rules, which he's got very good engagement. Just say deadmau5. If we stick with another path that he's taking, he's not in the most of the footage on his phone. He was geeking around the other day making a sound, and he's just got the volume and messing around with knobs to make a sound, or he's designing software that people engage with. You see, it's like, that's organic. This is what he's doing in the studio right now. This is what he's doing to set up for his next live show, and he's showing wiring something, you know, and there's none of that nonsense. This is, of course, he's going to have the lovely photos as well. He's got a great balance.
Yeah, but he's in the position where he can make that decision. We're talking about new artists getting into it who are trying to build a name for themselves.
But I think if they're brave and follow that path, that's more interesting. I think from what I'm hearing for the next generation, it's the same path that I took. It's no different when I was a young kid. I had the choice to go to the underground scene, or I looked at the mainstream with the pop music, the microphone, slow dancers, everything we spoke about, people, drunk people. I made the choice to go to the underground. So the next generation on their phone, 15, 16-year-old kids like I was, they're looking at the shiny stuff and that's turning them off. I do not want to go to an environment like that. And they're looking at everyone on the dance floor with their phones up and they're all dressed up. They're like, I don't want to go there. And they're seeing a wobbly phone footage of speakers, dark room, and the sounds all distorting. I want to be right there. That's where I want to go.
Yeah.
So that you can see it is working. And that next generation, because they've had that other stuff pressed on them and pressed on them, like, not interested. I've been there. I went to one of those events. It was awful. So that
It's
now they're
interesting
going.
you say that, because you know how they say everything works in like two generational cycles, like every 20 years or 25 years. Well, maybe that's what's happening with the scene in general. You know,
It
with the
is.
music, you know, like with trance, for example, there's this sort of mid-90s vibe that a lot of new generation producers are doing. People like, I don't know, Close Proximity and people like that. And they're also embracing like what it was like when their dad was DJing, what it was like when their dad was clubbing, their parents were clubbing. They miss that mystery, and they don't want their parents to be able to see what they're doing on their on what's.
No.
I mean, Oscar's like this. Oscar is so my eldest son. He's not interested in any of that. He hates it. All the social media and Instagram
Yeah.
and Snapchat and all of the showing off, and what's that thing they call body maxing now, where have you heard of body maxing?
No.
It's something that young men do where they do all this stuff to try to make themselves as attractive as possible, and that's kind of like the sole objective in life.
Is that what you've been doing?
That's what I've been doing, yeah. Can't you tell?
It's not working.
Do you like my T-shirt, by the way? I went to.
I was just reading that. Yes.
Yeah, I went to the Pet Shop Boys on Monday in London on their Obscure. They're doing this series of. Well, they've done this series of 5 concerts at the Electric Ballroom where they play all like B-sides and album tracks.
Oh, you got to see them.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
I know the heroes are yours.
Yeah, I was like, they've been following me on Instagram for about 2 years, and I don't know why. And it kind of blew my mind when I discovered it. And Paula was like, "Oh, we should try and get backstage to see them, because if them or their management are following you on Instagram, then they must know you." But I didn't want to get backstage, I didn't want to meet them. I didn't want to meet them.
Maybe somewhere along the line, but I get it. You want to experience the other side, don't you? You want to see the artistic side, and you should try meet them.
You're the #1 Kylie fan. Would you like to meet Kylie?
I see her all the time.
Yeah.
Now everyone's thinking, is really? Yeah.
He really a #1 Kylie. I used to know a guy who was in a band called Secret Kylie Fans, SKF. That was a guy called Bill McGruddy, who you might have heard of. Yeah, I made quite a few tracks with him.
You know a lot of obscure stuff, which like sideswipes everybody. How does he know this stuff?
Yeah, I suppose I do. So going back to your album, because I'm going to wrap this conversation up soon. What's the name of the album?
The Lost Tribe.
The Lost Tribe.
And there's a meaning for it, because it's literally kind of almost going off the back of what we were speaking about, and what I'm seeing people going against. It's always these movements within the scene. It's people are going against what we just spoke about, that this commercialism, all that kind of stuff, which looks like the electronic scene we all know together. They're just getting lost where to go. There's a tribe lost looking at, okay, these brands that they used to party with years ago, they've now taken this direction. This is what they're doing now. The clubs that they used to go to have now taken that direction. There's a lot of great clubs that I've played in over the years, and now they've gone that way, shininess and all that kind of stuff. So there's just a lost, like, what we're doing, where can we go, what's going on with the beautiful scene that we know and love. All genres have got hijacked. We used to talk about trance years and years ago, but everything's been hijacked, and it's just a matter of all the genres are fine. You just have to dig deeper to find the flavor that you like. Yes, there is mainstream. Yes, there is hypnotic. Yes, there is underground. It's all there, and it's just a lost tribe. There is a heavyweight movement of commercialism and social media and everything within the scene, especially the last 5-6 years. But we need these cycles. This needs to happen to encourage the underground scene to step away and create something new and different.
So it's meant to be a counterculture. It's meant to be a counterculture.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's what's going on now. And I'm seeing it in a big way. There's a big movement happening, and there's this counterculture going against that. And
I tell you what, John,
reclaiming.
Who would have thought that trance would be cool?
It's coming cool again.
Yeah, it is. It's like, what? I always used to say that the coolest thing about trance is that it knows it's not cool, but it doesn't care. But it is actually becoming cool, and not in the way that, and not in a mainstream way, but like there's this new underground scene, and there's a new generation of artists, and there's young people getting into this music, and they haven't got their phones, and I just think it's incredible, really. I just really hope that I can remain part of it.
You will. Trance is resilient. It will always. Everything will always come back to trance, no matter what happens. And the reason being, I don't know. Just say if you look at techno, for example, like techno's quite raw and stripped back. That's the whole purpose of it. It's just to get lost in a dark room and be pounded with really, really clever production, clever beats. That's the good techno set. You just be a good techno DJ and good music. You'll be lost with all these clever hypnotic movements within tribal beats and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So when it goes mainstream needs some sort of melodic content. They need a hook. They need something that's too raw for them.
Yeah.
So then that's what happened to techno. They understand this. They want to reach the more masses, and they start adding melodic content and vocals and things like that. Then it becomes trance, but they for a long time it's the same with progressive, but they didn't call it trance. They avoided the word trance for such a long time.
They're not avoiding it now. They're not avoiding it now, are they? I mean, I get all these cool promos from 1001, all these different promo companies, and they're mentioning trance in every single paragraph.
Yeah.
It's got like a classic trance vibe, and then I don't know. It's insane, really, isn't it? I hear what you're saying about techno, though. I mean, proper techno is something very different. I met I think I told you this. Nastya, the DJ from Ukraine. I met her on a flight on the way to Denver. I think it was Denver the other day, or was it Toronto? I can't remember now.
No, you were played in. I'm reminding you were in Toronto and you were going down to Denver. So you must.
That's right. And she was on the same flight as me on the way to one of those gigs. And she was really lovely, by the way. She had a really terrible cold, but she was really lovely, and we had a really good chat about what's important when you're a DJ. And she was just saying she's not interested in the commercial side of things. She just likes proper techno. And I checked out her label, techno. It's called Techno Records. When I got back, and I listened to like 14 tracks on this new album. And it was proper techno, just textures and funny sounds and grooves. And I thought, for a moment, I really wish I was a techno DJ, because I would love to mix that kind of stuff live. But do you know what? I've tried to make techno a few times, and I can't do it, because I just keep thinking I want a melody.
Yeah, it comes back to that.
But your music's quite techno.
It is, but I'm the same as you. It's I'll make a great kind of groove, techno groove, but there'll always be something melodic in there, hypnotic. There'll always be some pads, something in there. Like, I'm the same as you. It have to have a dusting of that. I
almost want to take one of those techno records, because it's got the production and they know what they're doing. I almost like to take one of those techno records into the studio and then put my Solarstone thing on top of it.
Maybe that's how you should approach it. Just try and reverse engineer it, try and make a really killer techno beat, and then leave room for the melodic stuff. That's how I that's how I approach it in the studio. Actually, I just work on the beats.
Do you think it would work if I like approached if I approached one of these artists and said, look, I really love your track, but I'd really like to try and make a Solarstone version of it. Do you fancy doing it as a collab? Would you think they would be?
Yes.
Or would they be like, no, don't touch me, don't touch my music?
I think what I've learned in my long, I've actually done this, but not in a production way. I've done it as a label owner and it's I've identified some really good techno artists, like they make really good beats, but I think, oh, that track would be so much better with some melodic content on there. It would go somewhere. And we've reached out to them. It's been hit or miss. Some of them are quite pure where they want to be, and I understand that's what they've got no interest in doing something else. But it's amazing the ones that have come back and said, oh, I'd love to do that, but they're the same but opposite. It's like, oh, I don't know how to make melodic stuff. I can make the beats, but I can't do the melodic stuff. But that's where you would come into it. So I think if you reach out, you're going to get someone might be watching us right now, and do that with you. And I think you'd be surprised when we did reach out to someone. We actually made collaborations happen when they were honest. Or they said, oh, actually, they sent the 4 tracks straight away. Said, well, I've done that, but the techno labels rejected it because it's too melodic. And they sent it to us. We're like, this is gold. This is amazing.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. That's a good bit of advice. I've spoke to Paula about this a few times. Like, I should really make harder music, but it's just not me. But I used to love the Protocol stuff back in the 90s,
Yeah, that was a good label.
Cochrane Lazenby and all that kind of stuff. I love that, but I just find myself, it just gets too pretty.
Yeah, but do what you said. There's no harm in reaching out. Just explore techno and then just reach out to them. Say, hey, they've got an idea.
Some really beautiful soaring pads over the top of a really pounding thing. But a lot of techno records, they don't have a bass line, do they? They have a bass feel, but they don't
rumble, have a isn't it?
Line. Yeah, it's a rumble. Yeah,
it's this low end rumble, but they kind of do that purposely. The rumble gives room for where the groove is and where their melodic content is within the drums, which is in this mid to top mid. Like tom toms or things like that. They're programmed in the melody. They're all in different keys, so they're having a conversation in the melody. So that on the dance floor, that is the melody. You got all these sounds programmed within.
They
drums.
don't like breakdowns.
No,
they do not like breakdowns. I played at Farius's new gay night, Cuties, in London, which is amazing, by the way. I played there a few weeks ago, and I brought my brother. My brother's a massive techno fan, and he's just like, he doesn't like trance because there's too many breakdowns. And he said when he used to go out clubbing a lot, if a breakdown was played, he'd get really annoyed. Like, why are you stopping? I just want to dance. I want to dance all night. Why are they stopping? And so I don't think he appreciated my set, to be honest. Although I think all the bare-chested men around him, he found interesting.
That's why he was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, when you emotional music, with trance, you have to be into trance, because when that drop hits and it's really emotional, it hits hard, doesn't it? When you actually stop pounding away dancing and you stop, you can just absorb all that big musical moment. When the beat comes back in, it hits you, doesn't it?
Isn't it interesting how we come from a trance background, and in like the commercial dance music now, the drop is when it comes back in.
Yeah.
But when we talk about the drop, is when it breaks down.
That's the breakdown. Yeah.
But what would you use to describe when it comes back in? Because there's never really been a phrase apart from when a track comes back in. I find myself using the word drop when I'm talking to artists about.
I know what you mean. Yeah, the drop's a big. It's all that kind of stuff, but that's not. I don't know. I know what you mean. It's just when it kicks back in. That's literally what I'll say.
This comes from America. That term, it must do, because they say bad is good, and all that kind of stuff. When they say something's bad, it means it did in the 80s. And they say the drop, they kind of they reverse it, haven't they?
Yeah, it's like killer. It means great, doesn't it? It's like certain
takes on the English really language. Sick.
Yeah, we'd think it's bad, but then they think it's good.
That's what you used to say to your mum to try and get out of going to school.
Yeah, I'm sick, and not now. Oh no, you're feeling good. What are you happy about?
Yeah, go have a nice day at school.
Great, he's really looking forward to it. But yeah, I like these turns in the scene. Yes, I get frustrated. I get heavily frustrated, not nowhere near depression, but sad. I think I just sit there and I question everything. I doubt everything. I have those moments. I think we all do as artists. Just think, where's this going? It's not going in the place I want to be. And then when you're on tour and you're on the stages with amongst all this, it's like, I just don't do all this stuff that the others are doing. They're on the stage, they're on the microphone, they're running in front of the stage, they're doing all that stuff. It's like, this is what it's become, and I don't do that.
It's awful. Standing on the booth and on the mic. Oh my God. I mean, I hate it. It's like, stay in the booth. You know, I find it embarrassing. If I do a gig and I see the other DJ up on the booth, I can't talk to them after.
So this is where the cultures kind of clash a little bit, because there's nothing wrong with it per se, but just say these big festivals, they look like the festivals we know. Look, everything looks exactly the same, but it's completely different. You've got the big speakers, the stage and everything, but the crowd are there to see an entertainer on the stage and the microphone. So when we go on, we don't do that. So it's not entertainment for them. So that's where the clash of cultures is.
Yeah.
Whereas if we go into an underground club, that would not work. If you started jumping around, getting on the microphone, they'd stop dancing. They're like, "What are you doing? You cleared the place out."
You're right. That's the culture clash.
It's the culture clash, and then the crowds that don't want to see that lot are stopping to go to those either festivals or those stages. They're looking for different stages or different places to go to. So that is going on at the moment, and I think what I want to see more of, and what I hope will be more of, is more raves for us, more warehouse parties, more those bigger. They are saying, yeah, there's still big shows like 1,000, 2,000 people, but for the right culture. I think this separation is happening. You know,
Good.
It is, and they're looking for something else, but the something else hasn't 100% started building yet. I mean, in the psychedelic world, it's fine. It's safe there. It's always been safe there. That's there in droves. That's why I can lean back onto that world. When I'm in there's none of that we've just been speaking about. It's just pure underground. Everyone's there for the music. All the artists love and support each other. The crowds are there. There's not really the changeover thing that happens. The promoter programs musically the whole event. So you get this beautiful, lovely musical curve.
Yeah.
And
it's lovely, isn't it, when you're able to mix into the previous DJ?
Great.
I love that.
Gentleman's handover. I step up, 20 minutes before, they'll come over to you. Where do you want to be? What BPM? How should I end? Do you want to mix? Do you not want to mix? That's still there that we remember. But in the other world, a lot of times they don't even want you in the booth. You're not allowed in the booth. They're doing a big moment, the big end, and there has to be dead air to like, I'm finished. Okay, I've done my bit now. I've gone. They want that dead space. So when you start, it sounds flat until it gets going. They know what they're doing. So there's all those tricks. They're fighting for set times, fighting for billing, all that kind of stuff. That's what turns me off from that world.
I went on after one DJ, and he was playing trance, and then his last record was a drum and bass remix of Born Slippy.
Oh.
And he put it on, and then he looked at me, and it's almost like to say, "Follow that, you prick."
I hate those games.
It's unbelievable.
I hate those games. I just do an ambient track.
I've got to tell you something funny, man. We were talking about the mic and getting on the booth thing. I did this gig years ago in Ireland, and I was DJing, and there was this guy coming down there in the crowd. He's shouting something at me, and I was like, I couldn't hear him. What are you trying to say? What is it? And he had typed his phone, and he held me up his phone, and it said, "Jump up and down a bit."
No. Oh no. Demoralizing.
Yeah, I did feel I felt like an old man at that stage. Anyway.
But it's a classic culture. So there's again, I'll clear up people watching. I've got nothing against those entertainers. They're very good at what they're doing. They're business people. It's amazing what they're doing and achieving. But we've come to this world where we usually run parallel. We're very, very close at the moment. So there is going to be this uncomfortable journey together at the moment as we're crossing over, but it will separate. It's this kind of strange thing where I kind of like that they do it, but otherwise we'd get lazy. The scene would get lazy. It would just roll on from month
But
to
you
month
do
to month.
feel a bit like, are the crowd expecting me to do that? Are the crowd expecting me to get on the side of the booth and you know, pull my trousers down or whatever?
No, but it's motivating the underground world, because it was like, whoa, this is a bit too close for our liking, and it makes them create something. It fuels promoters that might have ended up there. This has happened quite a lot when I spoke to a lot of promoters. They're like, I'm here. What am I doing? It's not, I don't enjoy this. It's like we enjoy what we do in our scene. And they've got to this point that they're dealing with all the dramas, all the nonsense that goes with it. So I'm not happy. So they rebel and start putting more underground warehouse parties on again. So this is why I did it. This is the reason I did it. And they're happy. There's less stress, less financial stress. Generally, the people around the artists are easier to work with. There's no teams of managements. And
if you're an artist who likes to jump on the booth and get on the mic, what would you do in a small club like with a low ceiling and 300 people? You'd bang your head. Yeah, I mean the music should be
it
able
won't
to...
work. And I've actually seen it where that happened, where someone was trying to do all those antics, all the drops and everything, and it just killed the whole vibe of the room. I was on next, and it's like, even the promoter saying to me, "Is there any way that we can get you on earlier?" So I'm not. You deal with that. I'm not getting involved. I've seen it. They made a mistake.
I guess there's room for everything, right?
There's room. We need room for everything. And the positive thing, those mainstream guys that are doing that, they're pushing electronic music to the masses. They're not going into hip hop or the next generation rock or something. They're introducing electronic music to the next generation that will hopefully find the way to us somewhere along their journey. So it's an important thing, but it's just when we get together, we don't understand each other. They don't understand us. We don't understand them. But it's an uncomfortable, bumpy but friendly relationship. A lot of them are my friends. We tend not to talk about that, otherwise it'll derail. We got an understanding. All right, we're different. We do different things. It is what it is.
Yeah, I guess that. Well, it's a good positive approach you have there, and a nice way to end this interview.
It is. It didn't feel like one. It's just us, one of our normal chats that we have when we're together.
Well, that's what I was hoping that was going to happen.
And it did.
Okay, I'm going to sign off. I'm Solarstone, and he has been my guest, John 00 Fleming, for this latest edition of Producer Talks.
And it's been lovely to see you, Rich, and everyone.
Yeah, you too.